Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about what to do when you engage a partner, maybe someone that you just started dating, or even a girlfriend who is resisting sexual advances. Maybe you have gotten some sexual like foreplay or maybe even full-on sex, but it's a struggle. It's like there's a lot of no's and resistance to sex. And I'm going to lay down the psychology of why that might be, specifically with females, and what you can do to properly approach this, okay? In a very psychological approach here, okay? So I recommend you guys listen, because even though that they might actually be sexual themselves and want it, there might be some surface things, defense mechanisms, which they will say no. And but then how you progress through that no, okay? But by doing so respectfully, because you don't want to be overly pushing and overly aggressive, okay? So first thing I got to address is you got to understand this defense mechanism of why there might be some initial resistance to sex every time you progress. You're escalating through touch. You might come to a certain point where you're like touching her breast or her pussy, and then she's like, no, right? Or you might pull your dick out and at some point, and she might be like, no, right? So it's just the way it is. Trust me. Even with a girlfriend, sometimes I've been there myself a few times, and I know how to do this pretty effectively. So I recommend you guys listening. Okay. So women say no when they are uncertain. If they have a choice between yes or no, very binary, and there's some type of uncertainty, they'll automatically go no, because they're emotional beings. Okay, their emotions take over. No, that's what's going to happen. Even if they want it, to be honest. Okay, that's the thing we have to understand. They might actually want it, but if there's any degree of uncertainty, no. So this is a mental block, and this could be based on religious upbringing. For example, they might be in a Christian background, Catholic background, Muslim background, whatever, and or just cultural. Their culture might want you to be married with them first. Simple as that. But as well, it could be the fact that they are not as experienced, and this is what I've experienced myself. Is that me that's had a relatively good degree of experience sexually, and then you're with somebody who's not as experienced, you're going to face this type of resistance, okay? And so it's just a natural defense mechanism. It's very Freudian. When it comes to something unfamiliar, there's going to be some inner conflict within them that's unfamiliar, or it's going to become uncomfortable, and then again emotionally they're going to say no. And deep down, they might actually want it, but there's a hesitation, and due to conflicting emotions or expectations, they might say no. Okay, so this is what this comes down to, is like what frustration also is broken down into is a conflict of ideals and desire, or ideals and expectations. Okay. And there might be some negative associations with sex. Maybe they were abused by their uncle or a family member or whoever else when they were a kid, and there might be some resistance that's like subconscious, because there's something that initiates. It's like something that triggers something that that makes them feel uncomfortable, because they have an association of sex as something that was triggering because they were abused by it. And a lot of women have had that, okay? A lot of women have been abused, or in one way or another, sexually, okay? So you got to, first of all, as a guy, understand that that might be the case, okay? And you got to approach it with not a degree of too much pressure on that. So first thing you have to do is build comfort through non-sexual activity. And this is the stepping stone of the whole intimate process in general. which is attraction, building connection, comfort, and then intimacy. So we have to focus on building comfort when this is the case. That's the key. So closeness, hugging, cuddling, massaging, appropriate touching, okay, without pressure leading to sex. Now this can be erogenous zones still, inside of the leg, on the stomach, under the breast. You know, it can be very much intimate touching, but this is creating a safe space where the intimacy is nurtured. That's the best way I can explain it. Or it will lead in the future to them actually saying yes. Okay, that's the key point, which they might actually want. And so again, emotional safety and reduces anxiety because there's an appropriate escalation that happens. That you're not just jumping to sex. It's like, okay, she might have some resistance. So focus on those building comfort through touch, which is the key aspect of this. Okay, kissing or holding hands, spending quality time together. That's the key. So about escalating, you have to escalate respectfully and gently. Okay, slowly, but as well assertively. Don't rush. Gradual steps, touching areas of her body, cuddling. As long as that you're together and you got your arm around her, you're touching her leg. You can kiss her on her ears, her neck, her lips. Even her body sometimes. Right? She might be totally open to that, but then once things start getting a little bit sexual, she'll be like, "Ping!" No. So focus on what she actually enjoys. If she really enjoys kissing her on the neck, then that's going to be the key. That kiss her on the neck and ear while you touch her in other places, and then you can escalate that way. Focus on the things that she actually enjoys when you do this. The erogenous zone touching and things like that, without actually touching her pussy right off the bat. Okay. And then you just have to gauge it. You just have to sense at this point whether you can escalate or not. I wouldn't recommend asking her, so, okay, are you ready for this now? Or logically, don't leave logic and reason aside for a second. Men are very logical and reasonable. You have to focus on those non-verbal body language types of things at this point, whether you will escalate. And when you do escalate gradually, it might be touching her on this side of the leg, and then up to her pussy, and then, if she doesn't resist, don't just start going at it at that point. But, you touched her pussy a little bit, and she didn't resist. Well, they'll keep touching the side of her leg a bit, and, you can go back to her pussy again, and, touching her body, touch her everywhere. Okay. And then eventually start undressing her. That's going to be the key. And if there was resistance then you have to back off. You have to. But if you can touch above the clothes at first, that's going to be the key thing, okay? And creating the right atmosphere while you're doing so is also key. So I mentioned that a lot of this resistance has to come down to mental blocks. And the mental blocks has to come down to defense mechanisms. So you have to turn everything into if it's a negative thing for her, turn it into a positive thing. And part of that, because it's a mental block, is getting her out of her head. Okay? This is a very powerful thing, actually. Because when she's saying no, it's because she's in her head. And this is about being manipulative. It's about, again, getting to what she actually wants, which ideally she does want this, but it's just these things that are in her head, this defense mechanisms that she's saying no to. So focus on the sensations. Focus on creating the right sensations for her. I've already harped on that, but I can't emphasize that enough. Again, the atmosphere. If you can control this in your own environment, in your own house. Having dim lights, music, creating that experience. I do massage therapy, so when I do massage, the lights are dim. have nice music. If I had like heavy metal music and like spotlight on them, it wouldn't be relaxing, right? No matter how good my massage is. So, in massage, what we do, again, me, massage therapist, is creating the right environment for them to be relaxed. And that's going to be monumental in this as well. Yeah, so you're going to face some hurdles, and even maybe like even a relationship where you're actually married, you might still face hurdles. And again, this might come down to the point where, if you just jump from like totally cold to totally hot, then there's going to be like a no, right? If you're just chilling beside her and all of a sudden you start trying to finger bang her, it's going to be like, no, so slap your hand, right? Well, there's a process of escalation. And that's what we have to focus on, is the process, not the end result. It's not a means to an end. There's a process involved, and if you focus on the process, you get that right. Some might be no in the end. I'm not going to promise anything, but the likelihood is going to be much greater. So, but as well, you got to come at it from a point where you're understanding. If they do say no, don't like create an argument. Just be understanding about it. It's like take a few steps forward, face resistance. Okay, take a step back and be chill. Still be chill. Like it doesn't even affect you. It doesn't phase you at all. Oh, you don't want to do anything? Okay. Continue with the Netflix and chill, or whatever you're doing, and then do a little bit later, touching, her stomach or kissing her ear a little bit in about 10 minutes or 20 minutes afterwards, and then go from there again. Okay, because it might change at that point. She might actually be down for it at that point. So just recap. Understand the defense mechanism and what it is. It's a Freudian type of defense mechanism. When they're uncomfortable and they're emotional based, they'll say no, even though they might mean yes, because they are undecided about it, or there might be other factors like their religion or their lack of sexual experience, which is contributing factors. And the mental barriers based on that is like they have an ideal that's in their mind, and then they're too mental, so as a result they're going to say no to that. So getting outside of the mental barriers, you can do that through touch, through making them feel comfortable, through creating the right environment, and build non-sexual intimacy. Again, just being next to them, kissing around the ear, talking to them, making them feel comfortable. Lights dim, nice music or nice atmosphere, all key. And just focus on being physical enjoyment through touch, through other means. It's that simple. Caressing is a big part. Kissing obviously is a big part. In grade school, they called it heavy petting, right? Which was a bit of a foreplay. But yeah, building up to the point of foreplay, that's the key. So foreplay is literally touching the genitals / breasts. Okay. Touching her pussy / breasts. Now, you lead up to that. Okay, that's the point where there's going to be resistance or not. And when you do, and if you do go to there and there's resistance, you just take a step or two back. Stay in that zone. It's not like you totally go cold again. You're still there. You're still present. That's the key. And with patience, the right communication, respect, there's no reason why a girl won't actually then say yes to you. And if they don't, and they're really strong in that no, then you have to respect that. You can't molest them at that point or rape them. They say no, and you're pulling your pants off them, and they're no, and you start fucking them, and they're saying no. Well, that's not a good thing, right? Is that the type of sexual relationship you want? Probably not. So, obviously, you can't go there, right? So you need to know your own boundaries in itself, and I don't want to promote any type of unnecessary escalation that's going to cause potential conflict. Because if that's the case and she does regret it or uncomfortable in the end, then you might not see her again. So obviously you don't want that either. So again, this is just a simple, to the point, blunt. I like to keep these videos around 15-minute mark, just to easily digestible information for you guys that would want to understand about this. If you have any comments or concerns or questions, always in the comment section below, please leave, and I'll do my best to respond to anyone that's respectful about that. But again, just to lay down the final thought here, maintain that healthy balance between physical intimacy and mental, and maintain that balance between being assertive and escalation without pushing the boundaries too far. That's the key. Okay, and touch is the key to all of this. And take that from somebody who does touch for a living. I do massage therapy. Take it from me. Touch is key. Peace, guys. Thank you for watching. Love y'all. Talk to you later.